I was heartbroken. I was heartbroken, one, because I broke up with this guy. And then two, after a year, like I was in injury again. So I got just really sad again. But this time I went back to yoga and I decided to get certified. I was learning so much. And I was like, wow, like what is it about yoga? I want to find out why it's so healing and why I feel so good.
Today's guest, Koya Webb, she was at the height of her college track career when a mysterious back injury brought her to her knees, quite literally. She thought she was shot, but it turned out to be a stress fracture that forced her to stop running. And while battling depression from this setback, a counselor suggested that Koya try yoga. And that simple suggestion, combined with discovering spiritual authors like Louise Hay, opened up a whole new world for Koya. Though she eventually returned to track and even trained for the Olympics in California, she found that her true calling wasn't winning gold medals, it was helping other people find healing and balance in their lives.
Talk to us about when you felt like you got shot, but it wasn't really getting shot. You just fell to the ground. What was the circumstances around that?
I mean, I felt like, what in the world? Like I was, athlete. I felt like Superwoman. I felt like nothing can, stop me. I came to this new school. I was doing good. I was in the gym every day. I lost the weight. All my times were up. My heights were up. We had really good coaches and great facilities there, which we actually didn't have at the first school. And so I was just on top of the world. Grades were great. And then I felt this sharp pain in my back. And I remember falling to the ground and looking around like, oh my goodness, what happened? I thought I got shot. And out of nowhere is a stress fracture. So with stress fractures, you don't know how they happen. They just happen over time. And when I found out I had a stress fracture, my coach said, Koy, I'm sorry. Like you can't run with that. Like you literally have to stay off your feet. And I was just like, what do you mean? I just got good. I just figured things out. I feel good at this school. I'm not bullied. Like I was the team captain. I was just like, no. So I felt like everything that I worked for and all the progress that I had made had been taken away from me. And I know a lot of people feel like that now, like, because the world just changed. You're one day enjoying the world is one thing, and the next day is something else. And so I just felt confused and slighted. And so I went into like a mini depression. I was crying in classes. I didn't want to be there. And my teacher sent me to the counselor, and the counselor is the one that told me to try yoga.
Hmm. You were also in a bookstore and there was a book that caught your eye. What book was that?
In college.
You Can Heal Your Life?
Oh, yeah, You Can Heal Your Life. So, oh my goodness, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay was one of my favorite books. And the reason it was one of my favorite books is because I realized that some of the emotions that I was feeling had physical manifestations, right? Some of the emotions that we feel, your body can give you signals that like something's going on. And so reading her book and understanding basically, that about the mind body connection was the key and the catalyst to a lot of my healing. Even now today, I resort back to like, okay, I'm having this pain here. What is that? What is that connected to? What do I have grief about? I remember my friend got sick with cancer, and I'm like, and I looked it up, and it was like, oh, that's deep seated resentment. So we did work on like, okay, what do you have deep seated resentment, right? Who do you need to forgive?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was one of the favorite books early on in my career.
Were you in the bookstore looking for books on the psychosomatic connection, or like what were the circumstances of that, of you coming across that particular book on that particular day? Because I know I used to go to bookstores all the time just to kind of peruse, and but I didn't think anyone else was like me. So what were you doing there?
I don't even remember how I got the book, to be honest. I don't even remember. All I remember is having the book and reading, and I couldn't put it down,
Mm.
you know? And
Because
I
you had been told your track career was over, right?
Yeah.
Due to the stress fracture in your lower back.
Yep.
So what was the plan? What were you? Did you feel you could heal yourself or?
Oh yeah, yeah. So since I was a little girl, my parents had, my dad, anything that happens, you drink some water. I broke my leg, drink some water. I got a cold, drink some water. Drink some water was his solution to everything. And so, but on our bookshelf, we had a hall full of books, and I would always get like the natural healing, natural remedies. And I'm like, look, Dad, water doesn't fix anything. So let me let me figure out some more natural things that I can use to help me with some things. And so I think I'd always gravitate toward natural healing and natural remedies because of that. And so when I was looking for like spiritual guidance. And I feel like being in college and being away from, that like church every day. And I hadn't found a church home where, I mean, not church every day, but church once a week. I hadn't found a church home in Kansas. And so I decided to, just go to books and like look at books. And I found Louise Hay. I found just some other amazing Wayne Dyer. And I was like, "Ooh, this connects, but it connects in a different way." Like I really love the spiritual connection that I feel through Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer. And so that began my search for just like deeper meaning in life and the deeper healing. But I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
And how did you end up in your first yoga class?
So after this injury, my teacher sent me, to the yoga class, and I was like, can I do this? Because is this worshiping different gods? Like, do I have to worship Buddha? Or I had no idea. So she was like, no, it's just stretching. And of course, we know it's more than that, but that's what she told me at the time. So I remember going in this class, and I kid you not, I could not touch my toes. I was a tight athlete. I could do it back then, but I tight hamstrings. I couldn't touch my toes. And I was just like, this is not for me. No one looked like me. I was I felt out of place. I felt out of place. I felt frustrated. I'm like, why am I here? At this point, I'm like, why am I even like, what is my life worth? I questioned my life. I questioned just like, what am I going to do now? I put everything I had, and I got this full scholarship. And my coach was like, oh, you can be a coach, or, you make good grades. And of course I didn't want to hear that. So here I was in this class, like super frustrated. And the teacher looks at me and she's like, just breathe. And I took this deep breath with her, and I felt chills all over my body. And I remember, back when I was, going to church as a young girl, asking my mother and my father, like, when should I get baptized? And they said, you'll feel it. And I'm like, feel what? Is it going to be a tingle, a jolt? Like, I was really like, I want a clear direction on what I was going to feel so I can get dunked in the water, because it seemed like the thing to do, And so, I remember when the preacher was preaching, I felt these chills. And to this day, like I know that full body, yes, that full body orgasmic feeling is the way that I connect to spirit, is the way I connect to divine. And so when that happened, I got baptized. So when that happened in this yoga class, that was a sign for me. After that deep breath, it was like, you're in the right place at the right time. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to commit to it. And mostly I was just breathing because the poses hurt. I was looking at other people like, how do you, I'm sitting in lotus now. I remember it being so much pressure on my shin. I'm like looking like, does this hurt anybody else but me? And everyone's sitting there blissed. I'm like, this is not blissful. Y'all quit lying. I'm like, how are they keeping this up? I felt like everyone was putting on the front and I was the only one that couldn't do it. And so finally the teacher kept saying, just do the best you can. Don't force it. So it was a really great instructor that really guided me to the breath. And now I know breath is spirit. And that's why I was connected. And since then, I've been on a spiritual path, and that's been the guiding force through the rest of my life.
So when you returned a year later, you were like a spiritual warrior track athlete, not just a track athlete.
I mean, I was always spiritual, but to be honest, I didn't continue my yoga practice. I was like, thanks, yoga. And I went back to the track, and I was like full on, like end up winning the conference meet and the high jump, long jump, and the heptathlon, and leading Wichita State to their first women's championship. So I went in because I ended up swimming and biking. And when I go hard. And so I went hard, but I took my team with me, and it was just so much fun. But There was no yoga involved. I was like, yoga healed me, thanks. And I actually didn't get back to it until I moved to California. So after I was ranked 13th in the nation, I was like, I can go to the Olympics. So I was like, I need to go to the Olympic Training Center. It's in San Diego. And at this point, I got so much ambition. And I'm like, I can do anything. If I can heal my body, I can do anything. And so I called this coach, Ron Sheffield of San Diego State. And I was like, will you coach me? He's like, who are you? I'm like, you don't know me, but I looked you up and I need a coach. And he was close to the Olympic Training Center. And I was just a couple, inches away. So I was like, all I can do is promise you I'm going to get better every day. And that this is what I want to do. And he was like, all right. And so once I got that yes from him, that's all I needed. I had saved money and in college, and I flew to San Diego, and in college I taught at the YMCA, and I had started personal training. So I took all my coins, put them together, and I moved to California.
So I have a question about this. When you were researching Coach Sheffield, had you seen or read something about somebody who called someone out of the blue and it worked out and you thought, that's what I'm going to do? How did you even get this idea to just cold call one of the most famous coaches in the country and just get him to coach you, get him to agree to coach you? Where did that idea, who did you bounce that off of before you did it?
I was just I don't remember. I don't remember a story. I don't remember reading. I feel like this is just it was literally just spirit led. It was just like, I got to find a coach to coach. And I think because in high school with my coach, Doran Tim Reed, he helped me in track and field. And not only did he help me in track and field succeed, he also helped me get to the basketball team. So something in me knew if I could find one person to believe in me, and I don't even remember calling anybody else. So I don't even know. All I know is sometimes when I get spiritual hits to do something, I just do it and I don't ask any questions. So I literally, this is how I chose him though. I looked at where the Olympic Training Center was, and I looked at the closest college there, and I looked at who was the coach, and that was him. And then but it was, I didn't have any background on him. Once I chose him, I looked at, different students that went there, and, I looked at his picture. I knew what he looked like. He looked like a cool guy, and so I literally chose that school because it was close to Olympic Training.
Was there a gatekeeper, or he answered the phone when you called?
Oh my goodness. I wish I knew. It was so long ago. I feel like he answered the phone. I don't remember the process. All I remember, and I think I get like that sometimes when I have my sight set on something, I just go for it. I don't remember what else. I don't know who I talked to, but I don't remember it being too hard, to be honest. I feel like it was just a couple calls and I was talking to him.
That must have been so exciting for him to say yes.
I was so
because excited. You were in a relationship too. And that was a big dilemma for you, right?
That was the beginning of my heartbreak. I was in love with this guy, and I thought when I told him I got this opportunity that he was going to be.
That you created this opportunity.
Yeah. And he was just like, no, I don't want to go to California. You go to California. And I'm like, what? I was just shocked. And it was sad. So it was kind of bittersweet. So it's me following my dreams, but I lose this guy who I loved, and we were making plans together. But I knew that this was an opportunity that doesn't come. It's this is not often. No one from my hometown has gotten this close to going to the Olympics. And after healing myself, I wasn't willing to just stop and just kind of let that dream go. So yeah, I kind of sacrificed a little bit.
What's the exchange? If a professional Olympic grade coach says they're going to coach you, what do they expect in return from you? Do you have to pay them by the hour, or is it just they just want to be able to influence you, or how does it work?
I don't remember what I paid him, but I know it wasn't much, if anything. I feel like I've paid some coaches, but anytime I've paid coaches, it hasn't been much. I don't even remember. I don't remember if it was anything, to be honest. And his thing is okay, if you coach an Olympic athlete, then you go to the Olympics too, as a coach. And I think that's why coaches commit. So I kept my promise. Every single day I got faster. Every single day I got, he was like, wow. And he was very impressed. But I forgot what yoga taught me. I forgot balance, you know? And so not only was I training every day for 4 hours, I was also personal training to pay the bills because I realized that California rent is not the same as Kansas rent, is not the same as Tennessee rent. Like I was staying in a place that was almost $1,000 a month. And I was like, dang, and it was just me, you know? So I was like, all right, I got to do this. But I remember my eye was jumping. I was super stressed out. So I pulled my hamstring because we know when you don't take care of yourself as an athlete, if you're not doing the cold pull, you're not, getting the massage, if you're not taking care of yourself, is an injury is a guarantee. So I got injured, but this time I went back to yoga and I decided to get certified, which of course, as you know, changed my life. But I was heartbroken. I was heartbroken, one, because I broke up with this guy, and then two, after a year, like I was in injury again. So I got, just really sad again. But this time yoga was able to, like, I was learning so much. And I was like, wow, like what is it about yoga that I want to find out why it's so healing and why I feel so good?
So I guess at this point, you've had so many intuitive hits that you're maybe you even have language for it at this time, and you kind of know the feeling more intimately. So when it was time to leave track behind, was that a big choice, or were you just like, yeah, I'm getting the feeling again, so I know what I have to do?
I don't think I ever said I'm leaving track behind. I believe I could like train now and still go back to track.
Well, you weren't going to make it your priority, right? Is your priorities were shifting.
To be honest, I always thought like once I heal myself again, I'm gonna go back to the track. And actually I did when I moved, after I moved from San Diego to LA. I got
Mhm.
into a little acting and modeling. I was like, I want to do all the things I always wanted to do. I want to do some modeling. I want to do some acting. I was in some runway shows. And so I really started to have fun with life because I realized that at that time with going through yoga, I got more spiritual and I realized like I don't need a gold medal to like make a difference. Like I had been making difference in community. I'd been working at the YMCA. I did a kids fit program. So I started to see the value of my life and I learned to live in the present through my yoga practice, through the 8 limbs of yoga. I started to find gratitude in just being. So even though I had fun on the track, after really diving deep into spirituality and yoga, it was no longer this egoic, like, I got to win a gold medal to be important. It was like, I like running and it's fun and it's a passion of mine, but I didn't need it, if that makes sense. I didn't need it anymore. I didn't desire it to feel like worthy or accomplished or anything. And I can thank yoga for that.
Thank you so much for watching. Just FYI, we post a new video almost every day, so make sure you comment and subscribe below so you don't miss out on anything. And if you enjoyed this video, I think you're really going to love this one as well. And if you ever want to see a playlist of all of my podcasts or all of the plot twists or any other category of videos, you can find links to those in the description below.